not just the manifestations or the equipping of people to do the work. But what's so powerful is the culture they're establishing that changes the people who do a work. See, we can do good things, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm changed. I can equip you to prophesy and to pray for the sick and to witness to people. But if your culture doesn't change, you won't change the culture around you. And see, wherever Jesus walked, he manifested the power and the heart of God, the Father, wherever he went. But he didn't just heal to heal. He healed to change. Some of us need to be healed so we can live a changed life. And some of us are so unaware of what's broken, but if we'll get close to him, he will. And what's powerful that I love about what they've been teaching and I've been reading is it's a mind shift. You know, it's a kingdom mindset. But you know what's amazing? We don't really understand that. But if we're more aware of his presence, everywhere I go, I realize I carry his presence. I carry it in Walmart, right? I carry it wherever we go. Are you carrying his presence? Or are you just kind of going about your life and your own activity? And so I have to tell you that I've been deeply challenged, you know, to be aware of something and then to realize that in your awareness, whoa, I need to grow more there. I need to be more aware. Am I kingdom-minded? You know, I say I'm for the kingdom, but what's going on inside of my head? Am I still battling with my doubts and my fears? And that's a place where the kingdom isn't reigning. Because his perfect love evicts all ungodly fear. You know, it's been an amazing season because it can be a clash sometimes. While God is teaching you one thing, you become more aware of what you really need to know. And as most of you know, we have our house up for sale. So having your house up for sale is like a roller coaster ride. And if you know anything about me, I hate roller coasters, okay? I don't go. I tell everybody the word says, lo, I am with you always. And so I stay on the ground. So I knew that going in, but we just sense and witness that God says, it's time to put it on the market. And so we did all the things. If you watch the home shows, you do all the things that you do to get the house ready to stage it. You spend all of your crazy time to fix it while you're living there, so it looks like you don't live there. And then you go through the, people come to take a look at it. So my dad was military, so we grew up with understanding of spit, shine, clean. So that's the only thing I know when it comes to, okay, they're coming in my house, so everything's got to be really clean. So you do all of that. They come in, oh, this is great, we love it. No, not our house. Then you go up and down. And last week was one of those weeks. And even though I knew in my head, this is going to be a roller coaster ride, be prepared for it, I hate roller coaster rides. So all through the week, I thought I was doing really great. Great, 2 people going to come. They're going to see the house. This was wonderful. You work like a crazy woman. You get it all ready. And then you go, oh, it's not the one I want. Well, this week I hit the bottom of the roller coaster ride, forgetting that it was a roller coaster ride, and it just kind of, and I just really got discouraged. And I really let it get to me. But then I stopped and realized, oh, you let it get to you because you were looking at the house and not looking at him. You forgot that if he told you to do this, he already has a plan. You forgot that the steps of a right man are ordered by the Lord. And I had to really go, oh, you know what? I'm not praying about the house selling anymore. I'm decreeing and declaring because he's given us authority. All right? So I'm decreeing and declaring my house is sold. Well, somebody came to see it the other day. And if they're able to build a bigger garage for their toys, then they're going to talk to us about it. So it's amazing how God does things. But in the midst of it, God said, are you aware that I'm really there? What truth are you meditating on? I realized that because of my mindset, I really wasn't walking as free, because if I was walking really free, the roller coaster ride wouldn't get to me. And so I just said, okay, Lord, I want to learn and grow. And so I just want to talk to you just for a few minutes that to know the truth in your life is essential to your freedom. You know, I want to ask you this morning, are you free? Where has life captured you with its problems? Where has life captured you in its challenges? I'm going to tell you something that really surprises you, and that is, I don't know many Christians that are truly free. They try to be free. Matter of fact, they're free for short periods of time. And so how do we find freedom that never fails? By becoming a people who know the truth. And I'm not talking about a people who just know the letter of this. A lot of times when we say, and you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free, and we forget that the name of our God is the living word. And he said, if you shall know the truth will set you free. See, if I know him, then I will understand what he said. But I'm not going to be able to understand what he said without knowing him in a personal, deep, relational way. And I'm not just talking about an acquaintance, an introduction. I'm talking about a relationship that's ever growing and ever moving and ever developing. And see, our freedom is not based on what I've memorized. My freedom is based on the relationship I have, and because I have that relationship, I learn what he said, and he gives light to what he says that liberates my heart. And he said, you would know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Listen, when you talk with somebody and you trust them, listen, if Teresa Tozier looks at me in her eyes to eyes, and she tells me she's going to do something, I don't think anything about it because I know her. And I know that she'll do everything in her power to accomplish what it is that she's committed to. See, are you having an eye-to-eye, face-to-face relationship with him? Because if you're eye-to-eye, face-to-face in your relationship with him and he says to you what his word says, it's settled. See, I realized this past week, even though I knew that God said, put the house on the market, I knew it. Because I have to be honest with you, 15 minutes. I'm sorry. Thank you for doing that. But I knew that when he says that, he said it. I knew it. I wouldn't have put it up on the market at that time because there was too many things. Besides, at the time, Ron was still the one-armed man. So that meant there was more to do, okay? And the challenges of that, but because I knew it, and you know what I forgot? I forgot to keep my eyes fixed on him, just staying in that communion. Because see, as long as his eyes lock mine, I know everything's going to be all right. And that's what's wrong with us. As believers, so many of us, we have the knowledge of the truth that has everything to do with our intellect and not as much to do with our relationship. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a relationship, but you didn't cultivate it to grow past a deeper place. In John 8:30, and I love the fact that John, who is known as the love apostle, see when he talks about knowing the truth, he's talking about it from a heart connect. He said he spoke these words and many believed in him, talking about Jesus. And then Jesus said to those Jews who believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let me say this. If you abide in my word, yes, you have to read it. And there's an aspect of abiding means I have to get in it. But abiding talks about living in, dwelling in. That means relational connect. If you relationally connect in my word, then you're my disciples indeed. Are you relationally connecting? Or have you started out in a relationship and you just let it get to be rote? Isn't that amazing? Because he said marriage is like our relationship. It was supposed to be that symbol, and that's why the enemy's working so hard to attack marriage, to attack any image or picture of our relationship so the world gets confused. Isn't it terrible that two people who fall in love, things can get old? Because what they started out in a heart-to-heart connect, an eye-to-eye connect, becomes rote. And they stop doing the things that keep the relationship alive and growing and maturing. Ron and I are going to be married 42 years in June. But I have to tell you, we could have chosen to have 1 year 42 times, or we could have chosen to keep on growing. All right? And so we'll just be real honest with you. There were some years they were a repeat. And then there were other years we just kept moving and kept growing. But you know, the funny part is it's a decision we make. We can become so familiar, we forget to be relational. And so when we forget that relational aspect, then we get bound back up again. Jesus was talking to the Jewish leaders. And because they didn't have a personal relational connect with the living truth, they couldn't understand what Jesus is communicating. Some of us need wisdom, and God says that because the Spirit of God lives in us, there's wisdom available to us. But because we're not cultivating this ongoing relationship, we're left without the wisdom we need. Some of us need knowledge about a matter. And he said, my Spirit is with you, that I am Jehovah Jireh. But because we're not cultivating that relational connect daily with him, we're coming up short. Some of us need healing so we can get unstuck. But because we're not having a relational connect. And see, a part of that relational connect comes with knowing what he said. But if I read this and I'm not connecting to him, I'm not going to understand. Because when you know somebody, there's heart behind their words. If there's no heart behind the words, it can sound quite different, can it? And so he says it's important for us to make that deep connect. Verse 32 says, and you shall know the truth. When we know him, we are aware of his abiding presence. He said, I will never leave you or forsake you. When I'm knowing him, I know he's here. When I'm connecting with him. When we know him, that word know means we're absolute in our focus. When we know him, we can perceive as he perceives. And therefore, will understand what he understands. We can't have this kind of knowing by just reading letters on a page. It's only by knowing the author of the page. You know, without time with Jesus, we're going to lose our freedom. You know, there's times we spend extended time in worship. And if you're not used to cultivating your relationship with God, you'll go, okay, so when is this going to be over? And without ever realizing that we're trying to create an atmosphere for you to press past the barrier of just here and let God begin to speak to your heart. Without time with Jesus, we're going to lose our freedom. Some of us have experienced the power and the life and the light and the healing of God in our life. But because we didn't continue to cultivate that knowing relationship, it isn't long before we become in bondage all over again. See, it's knowing the truth that sets me free, and it's keeping it alive on the inside of me. We have to build and continue our relationship with the truth. In order for the truth to become personal and effective, we're going to have to personally relate to it. When you sit down to read the word, do you read it because I'm supposed to today? So you'll feel better about yourself today? Or you're reading it saying, Lord, show me yourself. Help me to understand an aspect of you that I've not seen. Reveal to me your heart, your mission, your ways. Oh, will you reveal to me anything in my ways that's not lining up with your ways? See, when you love him, you begin to discover you don't want to do anything to offend him. And John said in John 14:6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. See, when we hear the truth, we need to remember the truth is who he is. It's not just what he says. The truth is a person, and that person speaks truth. He doesn't just speak the truth, he is the truth. And without a relationship with truth, you and I will never understand the truth. It will be hard. It will seem difficult. But when I have a relationship with him, you know, I've known Ron for a lot of years. So there's certain looks in his face, he don't have to say anything. I know what it means. Do you know God that way? Because he wants you to know him that way. Can you